I bought Jackie Ding's old S2000 to turn into a nice street car, but things went off the rails immediately, and now I have a fully forged K20 engine with ITBs built to rev to 10,000 RPM. But it's still going to be a street car. With the help of Andy Smedegaard, the support of Valvoline and their lineup of lubricants and fluids, and the immense pressure of trying to entertain the internet, we're going to make the Valvoline S10K a reality. And that long process starts right now.
Hi, I'm Andy from ASM, and we are here with Ben from Gears and Gasoline with his S2000. I don't know how many cars we've gotten from you guys, FDs, Civics. This is finally an S2000. Which we've done quite a bit of. We've probably done close to 50 or so swaps, I think, that have come through the shop. We've also actively tracked about, there's probably a good 7 or 8 of these S2000s in the Grid Life GLTC stuff, the Time Attack, and even just some street cars too. We've become very well known for our S2000s. This one is just a little different from most of the S2s that we get that come in here. Most come in here either fully running or fully complete with a hole in the block or something. So it's a little more straightforward. We drop everything out, have a K-series already prepped, throw it back in, and it's good to go. This one is missing a lot of stuff. And not just missing a lot of stuff, but it also is, it just came back from some sort of demo derby. We have to kind of go through and just build this thing from the ground up. I believe one spindle is like welded back together because it broke.
The weld broke.
Fenders are falling off. It's missing half the interior. There's literally no drivetrain in the car, no engine trans. So we're gonna start this with really just tearing it down even further because we need to know kind of where we're at, what's missing, and we wanna just go overall a health inspection of whatever's left of the car.
What are these wires for?
I have no idea, so I'm chopping them all out.
And then just start building back from the ground up.
Trying to get this thing to rev as high as it can, so we're doing ITBs, high compression, and a short stroke 2-liter.
Ben wants this car to be a street car, and not just any street car, but one that's actually livable and you could drive it comfortably. So there's a few challenges with that. One being the K-series are known for their vibrations and harmonics, especially the K24 with the longer stroke. K20 should be a little bit better. He also wants AC on this thing. It's a little different with ITBs. And ITBs really isn't normally a street car thing, but I think that's also going to enhance the driving experience of the car. I think that's what this car's about, is just enjoying the car on the street or on the track, whatever you're doing with it. And it's about just getting in and driving it and enjoying it. With ITBs, the intake runner comes out very straight. So in order to get the water pump housing on, Ron had to grind all this off plus the front. So that's what they look like stock. Because we can't run a fully unmodified water pump housing, we don't get to run the full auto tensioner stuff, which makes some of the accessory belt routing a little more complicated, especially if you want AC. I think we're going to try making this fit, and you'll have to just grind as little as possible, take off as little material as possible. It is common with aftermarket stuff for things not to all fit with each other. One aftermarket piece was meant to work with factory piece, but maybe that aftermarket piece was not meant to work with this other aftermarket piece. The common denominator really is the ITBs. I'm assuming that they assume most guys are using these on drag cars where you're running an electric water pump.
Passes is this?
Including these, maybe more than 10. I'm thinking everything should work now. This should all work now.
Sticking all this money into this fancy engine, the least we can do is put a nice new fresh valve cover on it. It's kind of a cheap thing, right? It's I don't know, $100 to have these powder coated. And $100 in the grand scheme of all of this, it makes it look like a brand new engine. So we try to put these on a lot of the K-swaps we do. It just makes you feel better about paying all that money. This will help reduce vibrations and stuff in the engine. The ITBs are probably like 10 thou of clearance between this and the ITBs. We had to go as far as shaving even the bolt that holds the auto tensioner, shave that down flat. We want to maintain as much thread engagement as possible. If you ever need to remove this, you'll probably actually have to remove the whole water pump housing because as the bolt spins, it's grinded at an angle. But it was either that or electric water pump housing, or convert to electric water pump and then use a different plate and relocate the alternator and then maybe not have AC. This is going to allow us to use all stock-like stuff.
We are getting ready to pull the subframe out because you can't put the engine in without the subframe being out. So. I think somebody before you that might have owned this car hit some things, like cop cars or something. But also, we have to do this because you're like me and you're basic and you want AC. And if all of this is bent, we can't put a condenser back in. So that requires some hammering and bending, which actually everything's kind of coming back pretty good. I've seen worse. My car kind of looks like this too, because mine's a salvage title car, but once there's a bumper on here, you won't know it's there.
I can hear the compression. You wanted 10,000 RPM? Here's 10. Maybe 8.
No, they should just slide off. As you can see, the e-brake isn't on. Yay! Man, that was a little rusty. You driving this in salt? The weld broke.
Typical K-series are set up for front wheel drive. So the coolant neck and stuff points that way, which would be right into the firewall on an S2. So we need to point this out right to the side, and then the radiator hose goes that way. Hotsport engine mounts for a K-series in a S2000. They have these drilled for all different types of blocks because there's not just one K20 block. You have the K20A2, you've got a couple variants of the K24, and they all have slightly different casting. So they had this all set up for different holes, but this one is kind of like the worst case scenario here because it's a K20 block, so it's missing the casting for this hole, and it's missing the casting for this hole. So it's only got these two. It's got this one, which is used for our AC bracket. Either cut the engine mount off and have it held on by 2 bolts, which is a little too sketchy for me. Or we could lop off this and leave the AC mounted with 3 bolts and then have 3 bolts for the engine mount, which I think is what we're gonna have to do.
Andy ultimately went with a third option, welding an extra support tab onto the mount so nothing lost reinforcement.
If you talk to some people that have done engine swaps versus people that have never done engine swaps, you get 2 totally different types of reactions. The people that have done it before understand all the little things that don't fit quite right and you have to modify and make work. The people that haven't done it before, they just think it's just bolting stuff in. They think it's that easy.
Your current rear brakes, we don't think they're gonna work that great. So we have these really low mileage ones we're gonna just swap out. And we know those work for sure.
We only have about a week, so we're gonna try to just get the whole drivetrain in, make it run, hopefully get to at least see what kind of power it makes on the dyno, and then from there I think there's still lots of little miscellaneous work that needs to be done, and yeah, we'll tackle that a different week.
While Dakota reinforced the alignment tabs on the S2000 subframe, Andy produced one of the last pieces left to bolt onto the K20 before we installed it in the car. The 9-quart Unit 2 Fab aluminum oil pan.
Big oil pan allows for maybe a little more consistent oil pressures, probably better oil temperature, able to hold a lot more oil, so a little more thermal mass.
What sound does this make?
It's gonna go something like, and then awful sounds at the back because it's a Honda.
Oh, hold on. Yo. So the reason for these K-swaps in these cars is because the engine that came with the S2000 factory is an F-Series engine, and those only came in S2000s. So the biggest reason is just the expense of the S2000 engine. They don't make these anymore, you can't buy any new ones, so you're kind of limited to buying used, and the F-Series has become, I think, in the used market, even for like a high mileage one, like $4,000. So the K-Series are much more readily available engines. They came in everything from RSXs, Civics, Accords, CR-Vs. All of the parts around that engine are just so much more abundant. From a cost standpoint, it's much cheaper to do a K-Series. With AC, it gets really close to this thing and this thing. So we need to grind this down a little bit and then also take away a little bit of this plastic.
We're getting everything ready to go in. We get to bolt the engine to the subframe, and then once our rear main shows up from Advance, we'll get the trans and everything bolted in, and it's gonna be go time pretty soon.
Because it's a K20, it's a little shorter deck height, and we're also kind of using an RBB style head. It just hits the little bit of the head there, so we're gonna have to just shave off a little bit of the adapter plate to make it fit. Probably not too much. From a power standpoint, performance, the F-Series is still a good engine. I don't want people to think I hate F-Series because it's got some high-tech stuff in it.
More grinding.
The one thing it's lacking, the K-Series has a really good flowing head with variable cam control. F-Series doesn't quite have that. If you could steal the bottom end of that F-Series engine and combined it with the head of a K-Series, I think you'd have like the best Honda engine ever. That's a bit more expensive to do, so a full K-Series will make pretty good power, just as much as an F, if not more usable power, and be much cheaper, and there's a lot more aftermarket support out there for that K-Series. It's an OEM disc, a nice OEM-like drivability with a little heavier pressure plate. Are we still fitting on something?
Why?
Yes. Not up here.
This side.
A little bit?
Yep. Normally we don't have to do this, but because of the unique, I won't say bad, it's not a bad combination, it's a unique combination, things don't want to fit with each other.
Part one's done. We've got the full engine complete, trans bolted on, bolted to the subframe, and it's essentially ready to go back in the car. Quite a bit more work to do before it's considered a fully running car. I should say fully driving car. Big difference between just running and then actually driving.
Ready?
Right now, how I have to drive it?